Hello, I'm Vivek, and I want to ask you, last week on the show we had Senator Kerry, and this week, and the week before we had Senator Edwards, and my question for you is, of all the Democratic candidates out there, why should I vote for the one with the least political experience?
Well, you shouldn't, because I have the most political experience.
That was Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy asking the question there. It was 2003. It was on MSNBC. He was then a young student questioning the political experience of our own Rev Al Sharpton, who was at the time running his own campaign for president. 20 years later, Ramaswamy is facing increased criticism from the other Republican 2024 candidates for his own lack of political experience. And tomorrow, the tables will officially be turned as the Rev Al will be questioning Vivek Ramaswamy in a live interview on Politics Nation. Rev, what have you got up your sleeve for Vivek Ramaswamy?
I want to know, does he now understand that having political experience does not mean you hold a political office? I had been a civil rights activist for 20 years before then, holding positions in various parts of the King movement in the North. So social work and social policy has nothing to do with holding an office. Now, so I'm going to be clear with him. Have you learned that? Because now you're running. And even as important, Nicole, he supports Donald Trump, who never held political office before he became president. And then I want to ask him about some substance that he's running on. You know, if he wants a name calling thing, that's not my show. The Apollo Theater is about 50 blocks north of our studio. We do amateur night there on Wednesday night. Saturday at my show, we talk policy. We talk what's real. What is he saying is the reason he wants to be president, and what political experience does he have? So I hope he brings his grown folks pants on, because it's not the Morton Downey show of the 80s. It's something serious, because we're in a serious time.
I mean, Charlie, I can already predict this guy using one of his lifelines. He's not, and he hasn't been questioned yet by someone as skilled or knowledgeable or patient as the Rev. It feels like as the real vetting of him is only just in its infancy. There's not much beneath the slick surface.
And I think that's becoming apparent. I mean, the guy turned in a good debate performance, but as you look more closely, he's shrill, he's shallow, he's shameless, and he's a shapeshifter. And one of the things he does, of course, is to say something outrageous, and then when he's confronted on it, he just simply lies about it and denies that he said what in fact he said, and somehow he thinks that won't catch up with him. So he's had a really, really rough week, and it certainly sounds like it's going to get a lot worse for him.
Rev, none other than Karl Rove is sort of hitting him where it hurts. Let me read you what he had to say about Ramaswamy. Quote, Mr. Ramaswamy's bought and paid for comment was part of a pattern of demagoguery. He regularly appeals to voters' conspiratorial instincts. Mr. Ramaswamy is quick to disregard the truth when it's politically expedient. He seems to really be the first to try to test the transferability of Trump's political armor on someone other than Trump. How do you think it's going to work out for him?
First of all, I think that he ought to learn a marketing lesson, and that is, why would people buy a knockoff if the original is still available? So imitating Trump while Trump is still in the campaign, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And secondly, I think that he underestimates the intelligence of Republican voters who will be voting in the primary, that you should at least represent some policies. And I hope he can explain them to me. What is it that he brings to the table, policy-wise, that is different than the other candidates? We understand what DeSantis stands for. We don't agree with it, many of us, but we know what he stands for. Vivek so far has stood for Vivek. And that, what is that? How is that? And to try and be a knockoff or an imitation of Donald Trump when the real thing is available just doesn't make a lot of political sense. Donald Trump, whether he knows it or not, is still around and is still a candidate, all 6'3", 215 pounds of him. Oh, I bought the car.
Vivek Ramaswamy will be interviewed by the Rev on Politics Nation tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching Rev. The Reverend Al Sharpton and Charlie Sykes, thank you for spending time with us today.